Welcome to Known Profits, where we elevate stories and take you behind the scene of nonprofits in our area to get you more familiar with the causes that mean something important to you.
On today's episodes of Known Profits, we interview Chef Jenna. And Chef Jenna's just got a huge heart for community. She also has an awesome restaurant named Amore, and her nonprofit is called Food Hugs.
We're excited to have Chef Jenna on the show today and talk about her love of food and her passion for serving others. I think you're going to find this episode quite a fun one to listen to.
Hey, what is going on, everyone? We are here, another Known Profits episode. I am with my friends Drew Myers, J.R. Roberts, and special, we're going to say celebrity, guest, Chef Jenna from not only Food Hugs, the organization she's a part of nonprofit-wise, but also from Amore. Jenna, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, super excited. John's been fanboying all week.
Oh, yeah.
And so we all have, honestly, been fanboying. But we're really excited to talk to you today about what you're doing in the community, your nonprofit. It's going to be good, right, Drew?
Yeah. And for those who are listening, this episode is a video podcast. So if you are watching or listening, hello from my basement. So
The official studio.
the official studio.
It's not so much of a dungeon after all.
All right. Well, we got another question of the day. And again, since this is a food-specific episode, my question is, what is the worst meal you have ever had? All right, worst meal you've ever had, the taste, the preparation, whatever it might be. John, J.R. Roberts III, I'm going to go to you first. Worst meal you've ever had.
The third. I feel like I get a new title every
You
single
do,
episode.
and it's my favorite part of every episode.
The worst I ever had, sorry to my father, but it was around third or fourth grade. I had my neighbor friend over. We'd been playing all day. My dad had I think it was right after the divorce, and he was trying to cook us some awesome meal, and we had gone fishing like a week before. In the freezer, he pulls out this bag of bluegills and tries to cook it, and it was like bluegill and rice. That was it. I don't think there was anything else, and we immediately just spit it out, like me and my friend John, and we ended ordering pizza. So pizza was far better improvement to really bad tasting bluegill.
Okay. Wait, bluegill and rice?
Oh, my
Oh, man. What a delicacy.
It's the first time for him, I think.
Oh, it's good. Drew, what about you? You shared a little bit pre-show. Well, I'm excited to hear this story.
Yeah, but I'm going to do a different one.
Oh, okay. Oh, new story.
Ooh.
You have that many, huh?
I think I have been fortunate. I have a pretty strong stomach, so I don't really get ill from eating. I've never had food poisoning that I've known of. But when we lived in Oklahoma City, there was a sushi. I'm gonna call it a stand next to a gas station, and I think that's the one time I ever got ill from eating gas station sushi.
You thought that was a good idea?
I did. I mean,
What do you expect to happen?
I was really craving some sushi, and
The gas
I went and
station
got
sounded
gas, and right
awesome.
next door there's a sushi store, and
Gasoline sushi.
Still
What
time to
could
make
go wrong?
one bad decision, Drew. You got
yeah.
it.
How about you, Kyle?
Yeah. All right. I'm going to take you back to 6th grade, middle school Kyle. He's in the cafeteria. He's excited for the dino nuggets of the day, as we all were, right? Let's be honest. And I think they were actually just chicken strips. We upgraded by that point. I went back to my table, and I cut into a chicken strip, and half of it's just raw. So, and I'm like a 6th grader. I'm like, is this a new kind of chicken? I didn't know what was happening. I was a dumb kid. And I went back and asked my, the lunch lady, like, what is something wrong with this chicken? And she like told me that there was nothing wrong with it.
No.
But I didn't eat it, thankfully. And I'm like, I don't think she's right. So I got we had raw chicken in our cafeteria for middle school.
Did you
one
get
time.
sick?
No, I didn't. So, yeah, I had ate part of it because it was cooked, and then I just threw it away. So I'm glad that common sense as a 6th grader came into play when it came to that. It was kind of gross. So sorry for those of you who are driving to work right now and you don't want to eat anymore or have already eaten and you feel sick to your stomach. So, all right, the story I'm excited for, Jenna.
Well,
Probably a lot of experiences.
You know what? I am such a foodie that I almost never go anywhere that I don't know is going to be good. But I do have a story about a meal that changed my life.
Ooh.
And it was in high school, and I was taking AP physiology anatomy class, and we had to dissect a cat. That alone should give you what the heck is going on. So that day we're like dissecting the cat, and we have to take off the skin of the cat and then separate the muscles so we can learn which muscles are which. This is like I'm 17. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all of the sudden in my little brain, it clicks. I've been eating animals. And a switch went off. And I'm like, okay, I think I might be done eating animals. So I go home after tennis practice the same day. And I open up a can of Dinty Moore beef stew. And I'm like, because that's all I had at the house at the time. And I started cooking it. And this piece of meat floats to the top. And there's like a whole aorta sticking out of one of the pieces of meat. I'm like, this is my sign I'm done. So I've been a vegetarian since that day.
Wow.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
A lot of people don't know that about me.
But you still create meals in your restaurant. That
Yeah. I
are
love
meat-based.
cooking it. I'm just not going to eat it. Well, I just think it's funny that I felt so strongly about it. And I still,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm old. We didn't have Dino Nuggets.
So, it's
So
probably
when
a
you
good
said
thing.
Dino Nuggets, I was like,
What?
You had Dino Nuggets? We had like square, like soggy pizza. Like, I don't know.
Square pizza was the
That was
best.
a- that was-
that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Wait till you go to Italy and have square pizza. Then you'll be like, what was I eating back then?
But,
Yeah.
but that's a good point about your history, because we do want to talk about Food Hugs, the
Yes.
nonprofit that you're a part of. But your background is you own a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of how Food Hugs came to be, was your
definitely.
background in with culinary background and owning a restaurant.
Yeah, well, and speaking of school, in elementary school, my favorite day was when I got to work in the kitchen. Already when I was little, I'm like, why didn't I know that? Like, why didn't someone see me and go, you love food, girl? And but they didn't. And back then, you know, being a girl chef wasn't even an option, you know? And it is so wild to me because if I think of who my favorite cooks are in my life, it's my grandma, it's my mother-in-law, it's ladies. And so I think I'm really big on trying to break that barrier back into bringing girls into the kitchen. So, which is another reason why I love our Nana Victoria Scholarship for Food Hugs. And this year we got to give away $10,000 to women who want to either open a business or be a chef. So we're really big. I'm really big on that. That's super important to me.
That's awesome.
Because I'm tired of going to events where I'm the only girl. I'm like, this is ridiculous. There's no reason we can't do it. We can do everything. And being a chef is one of them. And I actually was at KCTC doing a class last week, and I loved more than half of them were girls. And I was like, bless, it's changing. The tides are changing. So I told them about the scholarship. I was like, you need to apply this year.
Wonderful. Let's start with an overview of Food Hugs. How
Yeah.
did it come to be? What's
Yeah.
the origin of it, and who does that program help and serve?
And we do have swag. I'm going to put this hat
Yeah,
on
well,
right
yes,
now.
put the
Those of you who are
swag
watching,
on.
very pink hat goes great with my hair.
I have it on my apron. I have it on my
Yes.
necklace. I got a custom necklace from Etsy. That's nice.
All right. Well, for those who can't see, we're all now wearing trucker hats with
Yes.
Food Hug logos
Yes,
on
and they're
them,
really
so-
cool.
They're
looking.
really
You
cool.
guys look
Awesome.
good in those.
I'm going to wear this to work every day.
You should.
And if I get fired, hey, it's been a good run.
I don't think you'll get fired for
Why
wearing
would you
it.
get fired?
I don't know, man. Worst case scenario guy over here. So, but yeah, back to your question, Drew.
Sure.
Jenna, talk to us a little bit about that.
So Food Hugs started during COVID when everyone was really struggling, especially frontline workers who had to deal with a lot of loss. And then, you know, you hear stories about people not being able to visit their loved ones that are in nursing homes. And so I started just delivering food to frontline workers like once or twice a week. And we would just show up and bring them food. And it changed their day because they felt like someone was thinking about them. And it's amazing how just a little bit of food can change your, you know, outlook on your day, or however long, maybe, you know, it changes you for a while and makes you think about others. So we started doing that during COVID when we were struggling as well. So we knew because we were struggling, the only thing we could do to make us feel better was to help others. So when COVID hit, we literally had to flip our fine dining restaurant into a drive-through overnight. And luckily we had a big parking lot to do so. A lot of restaurants didn't. So we were lucky that we had that. And then we had to go from 4 to 7 every day of the week. And people would just go through the drive-through with masks on, even in their cars. And, it was a wild time. So we just felt the need to start lifting people up. And since food makes me happy, I assume it makes almost everyone else happy, which I pretty much think it does. So during that time when we were doing these food hugs, we didn't have food hugs yet. It was just like us giving food. And then I saw TikTok that was a girl down south crowdfunding for people that were in the industry, because we were all hit very hard, obviously, because no more big tips were coming in, or normal tips, because drive-through people are like, yeah, I'm not going to really tip. So our staff was, working and not really getting what they usually make. So we would, I watched this girl crowdfund and give big tips to servers, like drive-through servers in restaurant or in the drive-through lanes, big tips. And I'm like, I think I can do that. I would love to do that. So I was with my friend Jen Mitchell, whose husband was the football coach at Grand Valley. So she had a big circle and I have a big circle. And so we were celebrating our birthday at Charlie's on Plainfield. And if you haven't been, you need to go. Do you know what it is? Charlie's?
No.
I have seen it. I've not gone, unfortunately.
It's time to go.
AJ talks about it a
Have
lot.
you,
So
John?
I haven't been, but AJ's talked about it. And
The best
yeah,
mozzarella
you'll be there.
sticks on the planet. They hand bread them.
Oh my gosh.
They're stupid good. And they make a potato quesadilla that is on this world too. And really good margaritas. And their pours are strong. That's all I'm going to say. So we were sitting outside for our birthdays because it was COVID, and on the patio with snow around us and heating, lamps. And I was like, Jen, hey, do you think we can crowdfund while we're here and then give a big tip? So she asked people to Venmo her. I asked people to Venmo me. And by the end of an hour being there, we had $1,500.
Wow.
Sweet.
It was just $10 increments too. It was no one giving $1 million. It was just a whole bunch of people giving $5. And so at the end, we gave them this tip, and they almost threw it away because they it was like a credit card slip. And then they came back out and they're like, is this for real? And we were like, yeah, that's for you. Thanks for working hard. We love you. And then that turned into something we call now Tip Back Thursday. So we've done it 70 times, which means $70,000 to local restaurant workers. And it's so fun. And I did one yesterday, and every time I get nervous and excited. So Tip Back Thursday is part of it. The Nana Victoria Scholarship is part of it. And then our main thing is our actual food hugs, which are delivered Wednesdays or Thursdays, and people are nominated through me. And we're working on it, getting it on our website so people can click and nominate too. But so much is going on locally every single day, and so many people need some love every single day. So they send me information. We put together packages, usually 5 to 10 a week. It's a half pan of lasagna, salad, dessert from Amore, homemade bread, candy from a local shop that has donated, freeze-dried candy, and then a flower bouquet that I make every Tuesday. So I go shopping, I pick up flowers on Monday. Tuesday, I make arrangements because it's kind of like my Zen time. And so we bring this beautiful little package over. And a 90-year-old is making blankets for us to send.
Oh
and
my God.
she is amazing. Those little blankets that have ties. So she just sits there and ties blankets and sends them to us so we can give them. One was a blanket that had dog prints or cat prints on it, and we sent it to someone who just lost their pet. And so we try to attach them to who they should be going to. But so I have a crew who delivers. They're literally volunteering every week to donate their time, gas money, and they deliver. So they show up, which is also really something I would love to bring back, is actually knocking on someone's door and bringing them something. Because I don't know if you watch Sebastian Maniscalco. He talks about how people when the doorbell rings, they duck because they don't want, I don't know what it is about us right now, but hopefully we're bringing back the old school knock on a neighbor's door and, bring them something. So that's what we do every week as well. So it's a whole kind of like conglomerate of things under the umbrella of food hugs that we do.
That's really cool. I was thinking especially during COVID, when, like you mentioned, TikTok, is watching Instagram Reels and TikTok and seeing people do similar things.
Yeah.
And just like watching the joy, the relief, or even the sadness, like, and joy at the same time, just overwhelming on the screen, was awesome to see.
Yeah, I think, and we videotape most of ours, and I put them on TikTok. And at the beginning, people were so rude, and they're like, "Why do you have to videotape it and show it?" I go, "Because people are donating money to me, and they want to see where it goes. And if you don't like it, you can scroll on by. If that doesn't bring you joy, you're not a friend of mine anyway." But I show it because people are donating to me so they can see it and feel like they were a part of it, because they were.
Yeah. And it inspires others to get involved, whether to give or to do something like that themselves.
Exactly. And it brings me great joy. So it's selfish on my end because I get so much happiness and joy out of it. And so many stories. Like even last week, I bought this kindness challenge card set, and you can bless a friend, a family member, or a stranger, and it tells you how much it costs and it tells you how long it takes on the back. And then you scratch it off like a lottery ticket, and underneath is your thing. So the first one I wanted to do was a stranger. So I scratched off the back of the card, and it says, "Buy coffee for the person behind you." I'm like, I got this, because I have a gift card that I won last year from Big B for being, I forget what they call this, the optimist of the year.
Nice.
And it's a huge, I'm not even going to tell you how much they put on the gift card, but I've been gifting people coffee for a year, and I still have a ton left. So I went into Big B right by Amore, and I stopped, and I was like, okay, I'm going to pay for whoever's in the line while I'm here. I'm going to buy stuff for my staff, and then I'm going to buy stranger stuff. So this guy walks in like military gear, and I don't know the military. Like, I don't know which branch you're in. I just don't know. So he walks in, I'm like, perfect. This is perfect, right? So he orders stuff, and the lady is like, it's all set. It's paid for. And she didn't like point at me or anything. And so he waits for it. And then I think he figured out it was me, because I'm like super colorful and like in the corner. And so he walks over, and before he hits me, I go, "Hey, I'm doing this kindness challenge. Can I get a picture with you?" And he was like, "Yeah, I figured it was you. Thank you." And then we take a picture, and then he starts crying. And I'm like, "Can I give you a hug? Are you okay?" Like, this is a total stranger.
Yeah.
So I'm like giving him a hug, and he's just like this, so something's going on, and I don't know what it is, and I don't ask him. I'm like, "Can I give you a hug?" So I hug him, and he's just like, "I'm just really having a really hard month," or whatever. And I'm like, "I'm really sorry." I'm like, and he's like, "This just made me believe in that humanity can be good sometimes." I'm like, oh my God. So I'm crying. And then he turns around and walks away. He puts his coffee down, and he's like wiping his tears, and he's just kind of like sobbing. And so I'm like, "I'm going to hug you more. Sorry. I'm going to give you more hugs." And he's like, "Thank you so much." And then he walks to his car. I walk to my car, and I'm like just sitting in my car going, whoa, that was a lot. Like, that was beautiful, but also sad, but like all the feels. And I'm like tearing up. And he walks over, and he brings me this, I don't even know, it's his badge, like whatever his rank is. And he's like, "This isn't a lot, but I just want to give you this." And I was like, "Well, what is that?" And he's like, "It's my rank." And he tells me what it is. And I'm like, kind of like flustered. So I'm like, "Oh, this is really cool. Thank you." And then he walks away. So I'm holding this in my hand, and I don't know anything about ranks, but
Was it the coin?
no, it was like, it's like a tube, but it has like embroidered what his rank is on it. And he just happened to have it in the car, or I don't know. And I was like, wow, that's really special. And I'm like, this was like a 10 minutes of my day, and it changed my whole week, because I was like, this was like perfect timing. I don't know why. It just happened to be that he happened to be there. I happened to be there, and we made this connection. And now I'm trying to find him, because I want him to come to Amore, because I don't think he knows, obviously, that I own a restaurant, but I would love to see him again. Yeah. And I'm like reaching out to all my military friends, and they're like, "Well, we're on it," but I haven't found him yet. So
Man, That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
And I want to stay on the conversation of like community engagement, your love for the community, your just desire to get involved with people's lives. So if you don't know Chef Jenna, she's extremely involved. So I work at Kids Food Basket. She serves and helps there as a chef. John works at the food club. She's helped out there. JR actually hasn't given her a trophy yet, which is we got to talk about that at the end for a thing that she won. But we'll circle
Waiting
back
to
to
get
that.
put on blast. Yeah, I expected it. Bracing myself.
But that's not the point. The point being, right, is Chef Jenna is just so engaged and involved in the community, whether it's giving of her time, her resources to make meals, provide for an event. Where did that stem from? Like, how did that come to be, Jenna? Was it just growing up with that kind of posture? Was it?
I sometimes think about where it started, but also my grandma, when I was little, used to make like 30 different kinds of cookies, put them together and bring them to people. So she was the OG food hugger in my life. And I saw that, right? You see that as a child, and you see how much joy it brings for someone to bring something they took time, made for you, and brought to you. It makes you feel special, right? Even the littlest thing, like a big plate of cookies, she took a lot of time to make all those. I mean, she put her heart into them, and it brought her joy to bring them. She would bring them to like the big thing to do in this little town was go to Walmart. She would bring them to the Walmart greeters. Like that was just like something I saw growing up already. My dad had me when we were little deliver. I don't know if it was Meals on Wheels or it was some kind of meals. He took me with him. He wanted me to see that was important. So it's definitely been ingrained in me from learning and seeing other people in my life do it.
Yeah.
And then I just got hyper active doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's weird. Some people don't even think about it. It's not in their brain, like to help other people or to care about other people or to bring people something. It's not in their DNA for some reason. So some people will be like, why do you do that? Or I would never have thought of that. And I go, well, maybe next time you will.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll come through your head. I mean, it's just something that I love to do too. So every morning I wake up, I'm like, who can I bless today? And I try to do it something every day.
And when that's modeled, right? I mean, in such a profound way, when it's modeled, we learn from those that kind of show us the way. And I think one thing that I noticed too, my wife Melanie and I actually went to Amore for the first time a handful of months ago, which I'm sorry again, Jenna, I'll come back, I promise. My first time there, and the food was amazing.
Thank you.
But the thing that we left with, even more than how good the food was just how seen we were. Not just by Jenna, but by her staff. Kim Kane, shout out to Kim, was our waitress then. She's the best.
She's so much fun.
She talked to us like she'd known us for 20 years.
Yeah.
And we're like, wow, like that kind of visibility and service and just, man, I'm glad you're here, but I see you. It was so cool. And then Jenna gave us a tour of the restaurant before we left. It was an amazing experience other than just the amazing food.
But I feel like people start to feel like they aren't seen nowadays. Yeah. So I love that you felt seen, and that's really important that you did. I feel like people feel like they're a number at some places now. And I want to bring back the old school, like, I know you, I know your name, I know your family, I know what's up. Like, obviously I can't keep 1 million people in my head, but I know if I'm kind, you'll feel seen, right?
Yeah, and to say too, it wasn't just our table. Like, and if anyone's listening who's been to Amore, like Jenna was walking to like every table, like big, small, they were known. And it was this beautiful moment that we were like, man, this feels so good, right? Like, Jenna, like you said, we lost this in our culture and our community, this slowing down and just really listening to people and really getting to know people. So
can you talk more about the staff in restaurants and your gifts, your crowdfunded tips? And that happens, you see that every now and then with celebrities, but can you talk more about that industry?
Sure.
And my wife and I go to a lot of restaurants. We love going out to eat.
Yeah,
and,
same.
And there's certainly restaurants that do treat their employees very well. The restaurant is of a certain caliber. Where with a lot of hard work. It's always hard work.
Yeah.
A decent income can be earned, but for a lot of servers at restaurants, that's not the case.
Correct.
And so, can you speak more to that? And as kind of part of Food Hugs and making those donations, and what life looks like for a lot of folks who are in that industry.
Yeah, so it's kind of different in Amore. We're only open 25 hours a week. So we're open Tuesday through Saturday. So our staff is literally working 25 to 30 hours a week. It's not a full-time job. So they could, easily take care of their kids or whatever they need to be doing, or get another job if they need to. But we always hope that they can make enough to survive just doing that, especially if they're parents. And most of our staff are either single moms or moms of small children. So they really need that flexibility. And you have to think, for most restaurants, that's why they're doing this job, is because they're hustling. It's their side hustle. It's their get out of the house time for some of them. But it's also not easy to schedule your life around working at night when your kids are, even for me, when we had this restaurant, the kids spent so much time there. They were 3 and 5 when we opened, and now they're 18 and 21. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge time of their whole life. They've been restaurant kids, and they see us work and they're like, we're never going to do that. We're never doing that job. Yeah. They've sat in on meetings that were not pretty because they just had to be there. So they learned a lot about life just by being restaurant kids. But there are places that are lower price ticket items and their tips are smaller. And sometimes I wonder, sometimes I want to grab them and be like, you want to come to Amore? You know what I mean? Because I know they're making like $2 or $3 per ticket. And I'm like, it kills me because I know they have, potential, but sometimes they're just in a rut and that's where they love to be and they're loyal and they don't move. But not all servers make big money. So there are people that are smart enough to figure out, hey, I'm not making enough here. Maybe I'll try somewhere else. Mm-hmm. The best part about Amore right now, and I have to knock on wood because it's been a really long time, but we have a stable staff right now. Please don't change that after this podcast. We just have really, really cool vibe, like a group of weirdos. We're all, like the misfit toys. And we love it that way. But the funny thing about most kitchens are like badass dudes with like tats and like on benders every night. Our whole kitchen staff are nerds. Yeah. Every single one of them. I love it. Like, I'm going home to play Dungeons and Dragons. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm like, what? And they're young.
But that's also with your social media. You go back to the point of human beings doing life in the real way. I think so much of there's a lot of parts of social media that are false. Or negative or divisive. And I think a lot of
I never post any of that.
Feel that
I never will.
Well, it can be authentic.
But just it's so great when you're a person that does have a network.
Yeah.
And you do have a platform like a successful restaurant in Grand Rapids to then bring that to others, whether it is highlighting and supporting people in your industry who just need a little help.
Yeah.
Or helping women to be more successful in a field that women have historically not been as prominent or successful in, providing scholarships for folks as well. So talk more about that as well on the support side that Food Hugs is, obviously with the actual hug. And I really felt like I was being hugged by a delicious lasagna.
Yeah.
As crazy
Absolutely.
as that sounds.
No, but it's true. That's how you feel.
But how about those other aspects of Food Hugs too?
Yeah, well, the one I get stopped for when I'm out and about the most is during winter storms. We leave out coolers for plow truck drivers, salters, plumbers, EMTs, anyone that, and I just at the end, because every time I post it, someone's always like, "What about us?" And I'm like, everybody, anybody, like, you know what I mean? Because there's always a "what about us" person on the feed, and I'm like, okay, from now on, I'm just going to say everybody and everyone out that needs a warm bowl of soup. So we put soup, bread, and we put, napkins and spoons. And for the first couple of times we did it, it just blew up. And people are like, that's wild. Why did you do that? I'm like, because there's nowhere good to eat and they're out until like all hours of the morning. Nothing's open anymore after COVID. There's no more 24-hour restaurants. They shouldn't have to eat gas station food. They're really working hard. And sometimes they have to rush out of the house and they don't have a meal with them. So that's why. Yeah. But it's just turned into something that they look forward to now. And finally, after the third or fourth time we've done it, I've gotten photos of people like in full gear, like you can only see their eyes because it's so cold, and like holding up the bag. Like, and I was like, finally someone sent me a photo, because that's what I love. I love to see like who gets it, because some people don't think about sending me a photo. And then this last group, I must have gotten my shout, like, send me a picture. I want to see who's getting this or what business is using it, or, you know, and that is what I get stopped for the most, which is crazy because we do a lot of other things, but I love that people see it.
Yeah. How about the scholarship piece? You mentioned that too. Was there a support for folks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk more.
So at our big annual fundraiser, which is in January, my birthday's in January. So there's really not a lot going on in January. And I don't love having a January birthday because everyone is broke, hungover. Real birthday's January 2nd. So everyone is like, broke, hungover, like partied out. And I'm like, it's my birthday though. I want to party because I love birthdays. So we made this year was our second annual. So the first was last year and I was turning 50. So I'm like, it's a big birthday too. Like, let's party. So we just had a pink theme party. Everyone had to wear pink. And my goal was to raise $50,000 for my 50th birthday. And by the end of the night, we had doubled it. And we were like so thrilled because that helps us continue to do these things every week. And we really love that we're so hyper local that you do see where your money goes immediately, especially during COVID when we were doing those tip back requests. They saw exactly where their money went the next day. And that's so immediate for any nonprofit. And that's unusual. I don't think a lot of people know exactly where their money goes when they donate. And it's really fun when it's just $5 and you still feel like you did something for someone else. Yeah. But so the first year we did the scholarship, it was recent passing of my mother-in-law, who was like my heart, soul, muse, love her. And I decided I was name the scholarship after her. So the first year we sent out like what you needed to do, answer a few questions. And the final question is, who would you food hug? So those answers are always really cool. The first year we maybe had 10 people apply. Last year we maybe had 15. And to read through all of their stories and who they would food hug was amazing. So the first year was $1,500 per person that we gave them to. And then this year we didn't tell them how much they were getting. And when the women showed up, we told them, thank you for what you're doing. We're really excited to be a part of your journey. $5,000 each. And they were like, what? Wow. So it's a really big, in my opinion, it's a big scholarship. Yeah. And the first year I just sobbed on stage because it was very, very recent for my mom-in-law. And I was like ugly crying these girls. I'm like, oh no, these girls are probably like, what the heck is going on? But it was so emotional for me. Yeah. And so this year I made it through without crying, which was awesome. But it's just impactful. I hope it's impactful for these ladies.
So you're a business owner.
Yeah.
You're a parent.
Yes.
You're a spouse.
Yep.
How do you find, and you're a volunteer, and you have a nonprofit. A lot of people are busy. They have very active lives. I believe that most people want to find ways to give back to their community. How do you find the time, or how do you make the time to do all these amazing things while living out your life in all those other ways too?
So it's really hard to figure out time, right? The time in your day. But the older I get, the less my kids need me. My oldest is at college. I see her not as often as I would like. My youngest is exploiting her last year as a senior at home without her sister.
How bad is it to go away to college or leave your house when when mom is a chef? And
I told Jada last night, and this is so funny because she literally, I'm her line cook every night. Like she will belt out, "This is what I want, Mom." And I will be like, "Yes, sir." And I'll be like, "Ah." So she literally gets whatever she wants. And I'm like, they ain't gonna be like, I even told her last night, I was like, next year ain't gonna be like this for you, baby girl, because she's gonna go to Michigan State and she'll have dorm food, and I'll be like,
Eating dino nuggets.
Yeah, my oldest can cook.
Nice.
And she's been sending me making her own baguettes like the last, and she lives in an apartment, and she's like, "Mom, look what I made."
Yeah.
So I love that because
Cool.
she won't be able to, buy it. She'll make it, and good for her, right?
This is the great thing about food. You can go on tangents about food, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But so how do you make the time with all of that going on? And,
Right.
and as your kids move out of the house, that's part of it. But it still is a big task running a business.
It is, and I have to remind people sometimes. I have 2 jobs now. I'm running a restaurant and a nonprofit, so But I also really am big on self-care and time with my friends. So I will schedule it in. And time with family. And sometimes my husband will stop me and go, "Hey, I haven't seen you for a minute." So we once Jada moves away, we will probably return to we used to do Thursday night date nights, and they have to be late night open spots, which is really hard in Grand Rapids lately. During COVID, since we are only open from 4 to 7, we'd sometimes have leftovers at the restaurant, and I would bring them home and put them on my porch and put it on I live on Lake Bella Vista, on our Lake Bella Vista residence feed. And I will tell you, you have never seen so many people running to my porch to get food. And I'm so mad I did not have like a ring camera. Because I would just sit in the window and just crack up. And because it would like first come, first serve. When it's gone, it's gone.
So they're like racing each other.
They're racing, like
Squid
squealing
Game season
up.
3.
Yes. But it was, people remember that. And they're like, "When are you bringing porch treats back?" I'm like, "Okay."
Oh man.
But it was part of our COVID.
I'm that guy. If I know someone that's a good chef, because I'm terrible at cooking, I will do my best to border the line of taking advantage of that relationship for the food.
Well,
Spoiler alert, Drew was first in line 2 of those 14 times.
probably. No, but listen, like my neighbors get fed often, and I will just be like, I'll either bring it to their porch or I'll be like, "Hey, I got food on my porch, come get it." And literally running from their houses. Which is so fun. It brings me joy. Yeah, it's really fun. I love it.
Well, a question I had is thinking about our audiences are like, "Oh, hey, this sounds fun. Like, I love watching these reels. I love everything you're saying, but how do I get involved? How do I get plugged in? What do I do?"
So the awesome part is we just got a brand new, really cool website, and it's foodhugs.org. Have you looked at it at all?
It's really cool.
It's really
the cursor
cool.
change. Yeah, it's sweet. It's really sweet.
Real question. Is the cursor pink?
Yeah, and it's a heart.
Yeah.
It's a heart.
This is on
Cursor's
brand.
a
Good.
heart. Yeah, they were very on brand.
Awesome.
Actually, the people that did our website, the guy that was one of the people in charge do you remember the commercial? "I shipped my pants."
Yes, one of
He
my
did that.
favorite
He
ones
won an
ever.
Emmy for it, and he did the website. He was
way.
in charge
That's
of it. Yeah. And so if you go foodhugs.org, you can literally, the first thing is it's like bright pink. It's very on to like, they got me. They got it. They figured it out. So you can go there. And the first part is donate. You can press that button, donate right away. You can donate. Like next week, we have at the Score, they give 10% to us from 5 to 10 p.m. If we get 30 people through the door and say they're with Food Hugs, then we get 10% of the proceeds. People will step up and do cool fundraisers for us where we just, they have a great idea. The other one we do that we love every year is Mrs. Roper roams Rockford. Everyone wears muumuus and wigs, and we walk around Rockford, including dudes.
Sign me
need
up
to come.
now,
And
please.
then the corner bar hosts us upstairs, and we have this raffle where it's just like you give $5 and You roll like the bingo raffle thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You pick a piece of pasta out that has a number in it, and you get whatever you get. And I learned that in Italy from nuns that were raising money to get a new roof on their church. And we got like 6 cents VHS in Italian, like when we did it. But it was like random stuff. And then it's just we have to have fun while we're doing it, right?
Yeah.
So you need to all be there. It's in September.
All right.
And it is a wild, fun ride. And we
awesome.
support all the local businesses around. We walk around and everyone's like, what is going on?
Have other restaurants and other restaurant owners gotten on board? Have they partnered with you on food hugs?
Yeah, so there is a place in Grand Haven called Lucy's, and they messaged us after they saw us do the soup thing the first time. They're like, we really love that idea. Do you mind if we steal it? I was like, do it. The more people that are going to be kind to other humans, do it. So, and they had us in too for a fundraiser, like for 10% came to us. But it's just small donations really add up. And so you don't have to feel like you have to give a lot. Yeah. Even like $20 helps us. You know, each food hug costs us about $160, and we're doing 10 to 12 a week. So that adds up, right? Plus, we're doing these $1,000 tip backs once or twice a month. We did one yesterday at Lotus Brew, tea, coffee, and the owner is got a servant's heart like I do, and he is struggling, but he still chooses to have a place where people can feel safe. Also, free drink if you can't afford it. He said someone did that for him once, so he does it. Wow. At his place. And he also has a pantry where people can get items like food, toothbrushes, feminine hygiene for free if they need it. And he's like, I was homeless, so I have a heart and I know how it feels, and I want to help people if they can get through the next 24 hours and feel cared for. And that's really huge right now too. And I partner with Vani from I Understand as well, who's very big on mental health awareness and suicide awareness. So we pair with her when we have a suicide on our hands for a food hug. We bring one of her grief kits and give it to the family immediately, so they have something to grasp on when they're dealing with such a horrible tragedy. So I really love that I get to work with other local nonprofits. I work with Laugh Fest. I'll be at Gilda's.
Yeah, we just had him on the show.
Wendy Wigger is my girl.
She's the best.
Yeah, I love her. And I do Cooking with Comedy every year for Laugh Fest at the house. And it's really fun. And this year I have Nardos. I'm always with a local comedian. So my girl Nardos is going to be with me this year. And it's just like improv, really fun.
So my wife and I watched the Cooking with Selena Gomez.
Oh,
we need to get you on that show.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
I would love
I don't know if it still exists.
Let's do it.
Oh my God. I would
No
love
Profits
that.
crowd. Let's do this.
Yes.
And you've interacted with some famous folks too.
Yes. And JR mentioned to me before this podcast, he's a huge fan of Snoop Dogg.
Yes.
We know that you connected with Snoop Dogg and other
did.
celebrities, Jeff Daniels,
Yes.
Seth Meyers. Talk to us a little bit about those interactions, Jenna.
It was really, really I felt so blessed because I was growing up listening to Snoop when he first came out. I was in college at Michigan State, and he was so lovely, and he made a very awesome tweet about me that I sometimes wish I would have printed and put on my wall as well.
But you had a chance to cook for Snoop Dogg.
Yes.
When you were telling us before, you catered one of his events.
Yes, I catered his event. I had very fun Snoop-like labels on all of his food that made him laugh enough to tweet me out. But yeah, and then we met him after the show, and he was lovely, and he's very tall and very thin, and he was just like a lovely human. So was Jeff Daniels. Honestly, I catered for him when he came with his band at Rockford High School, and so I catered in the back of the auditorium, and I was like, I felt very comfortable around him, and he was making jokes. And then I said, "Can we do like a Dumb and Dumber face?" So I have that on the wall.
Nice.
Yeah.
Throw salt over your shoulder.
I should have.
That's awesome.
But I have a lot of cool stories. And like, even when I was on Guy's Grocery Games, meeting Guy Fieri was really cool. And a lot of people were like, is he a jerk? I'm like, no, he's so lovely. Like, he was the loveliest human. And like, even during the show, he tries to help you. Like, he was trying to help me because it was a hot mess. But I'm glad I did it.
Is Amore too fancy to be on Diners, Drives, and Dives?
Yeah, I think so. But I asked him anyway. I was like, "Can you come?"
Christine and I always, I don't know about you, but we always sit at the bar. We try to sit at the bar
I
when
love
we go
the
to
bar.
restaurants
Yeah.
because you build a relationship with the bartender.
Yeah.
You kind of get a little bit of better understanding. And some of our most favorite places we've been, interestingly, have been Italian restaurants. When
Yeah.
we lived in Rochester, New York, there was a restaurant, Italian restaurant owned by a gentleman named Patrick. And he was absolutely fantastic. Got to know you. We felt like family whenever
Yeah.
we went in there. But that really makes it special too when you get to know the staff.
Yeah.
And that's where I was going with that. So it's great that the example you set for your staff and that your staff treat your customers that way. The reputation you have in the community, using your network to build kindness and joy and help others. It's just really inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
And
Why not be nice? Like,
why not be nice?
it's free. It literally, I tell people that. And
Need a lot of it.
that's what I always want to tell people. And it's very Mr. Rogers, like find the person that's going to help you because they're going to be your ride or dies, and be kind.
Yeah, in a world where there is so much negativity, so much of that not being modeled, right? It's like we need it
Especially
more
right
than ever.
now.
Yeah, right.
use some more nice.
We need to love each other well, man.
Yeah, we
Life's
actually,
too short.
Yeah, we had a shirt during COVID that said lasagna with a side of nice, which I loved.
Chef Jenna, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been a joy. Again, I feel like we could maybe do a 5-part episode.
I was
Maybe
gonna
we'll
say-
go back to the drawing board and think about what the future could look
It
like.
might be 2 parts actually.
No, it's going to be at least 6. No, but we're so thankful for you, for your heart, for your posture in the city, the way you connect people, make them feel seen, make them feel loved, and for spending time with us today. So if you're listening right now, check out what she's doing, foodhugs.org. A lot of ways to get involved. Check out Amore. Go get a nice dinner. Take your significant other out. But we're excited to see what Chef Jenna continues to do in our great city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we alluded to earlier. John had Chef Jenna at a fundraising event, and she won this event as for the chef competition. But he never gave her a trophy. Well, by golly, gee willikers, we have a trophy.
trophy.
JR finally came through.
God, that's the best trophy
So
ever.
It is handmade by our team.
8 months later.
So much love.
Oh my!
And the hand making did not take that long. It was
good.
trying to get out there as a whole team.
Oh,
It's like,
this
guys,
is everything.
it's delivered.
Yes.
Oh, this is going straight up front.
So good.
Hopefully, no one will steal it. It's so good.
So-
I can't wait. We're gonna have to take a picture of all of us with this.
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
it's epic.
Who needs an HGTV competition when you've got that?
Who needs a story about Snoop Dogg when you?
I mean,
You can have a knife going into an apple.
Yeah, I don't know how the physics work on that trophy.
that's Katie how we did that.
But I'm
my
not
God,
mad about it.
that's
I'm not mad about
Fantastic.
it.
You're
I
gonna
have
see
to
a
tell you,
dentist.
it's probably the best trophy I've ever gotten. That's epic.
That's pretty good, JR.
It is. It's
Yeah,
so
that's
good.
pretty good.
That's awesome.
So, guys, before we go, we talked about the worst meal you've ever had. What is the best meal or most memorable meal that you've had that you have not cooked? Well, for those of us, it's probably something someone else cooked, unless either you are great chefs, which, we've been closer friends then if you are a good chef. But if not, what is the best meal you've had that you have not cooked?
Dino nuggets I'm kidding. Not
Real?
true.
Come on now.
No, I think, and I say this very nervously because Jenna's here with us, but my mom made a very, very, very good meat lasagna. It was so
love that.
good. Just I remember it from a young age, and it was like a staple, at least every other week. I ate a lot of lasagna growing up, but it was so good. And I think for me, it's so much of it's just the memory, right? Like family
It
around the
is.
table.
Yep.
So good.
I love that, and people will try to say things like, "This is better than my mom's." I'm like, "Mom's always first." Like, mom, you don't have to rank me because mom has mom. Mom is your mom.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, mom, I'll be happy with second place. Like, your mom is mom. I'm a mom, so
So,
you better.
second place, then. Who is your second place that you haven't cooked? That you haven't, a
Like
meal that you haven't
my
made?
best meal I've ever had. You
Yeah.
mean? Oh God, you don't have enough time. So I am blessed to be able to eat at a lot of very nice restaurants. I travel to Italy twice a year. Every time we go with the group that I'm on with Honored Travel, we go to Michelin restaurants every single time. So I've gotten to eat at a lot of amazing places. But there's 2 in America that are high level and almost impossible to get reservations at. And once I was invited to California to cater a wedding, and I was like, I really want to go to French Laundry. And that's Thomas Keller's place, who was when I was opening, one of like the best chefs in the world. And so I put it out on social media, and this is, a long time ago now, probably 10 years ago now. And I was like, can anyone get me in? Like, this is the only time I can go, because it was only one day and like in the afternoon, because I had to fly out the next day. And everyone was like, I tried, but no. And they were like, are you crazy? No, you're not going to get in. So I get a message maybe 2 days later, and my friend is like, I can get you in. And I was like, and she was like younger than me. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I got you. I'm like, girl, yes. Oh, this is the best. Anyways, so I got to go. I spent every single penny that I made at the wedding at the restaurant. But that's just a build up to the story. So one of my other favorite chefs was under Thomas Keller. He opened a restaurant in Chicago. And so I got reservations finally at Alinea in Chicago, and I had the best meal I've ever had in my life. Wow. 2 was French Laundry, because he had learned from Chef Thomas Keller, but Chef Grant also has a story where he almost died and lost his tongue as a chef, and it's called Life on the Line. You should read it. It's the craziest story you'll ever hear. Someone in Chicago figured out how to save his tongue and his life. Wow. But his meal was so wild, creative, delicious. Sometimes food is pretty, but it's not good. His food is not only gorgeous and creative and wild, it's delicious. And it makes you think, oh, how did he think of this? Like a butter capsule inside, and you like bite on it and it's warm butter, like the craziest thing. And so I told my daughter, I told everybody about this, but I told my daughter, when you turn 21, I'll take you to Alinea. And I kept my promise. So we got to go back.
What does it cost for, like, if you're...
It starts at $265, and then it goes up to $5 because you can get a chef's table in the kitchen. Wow. And it's a pristine kitchen with like glass doors that open, and like it's the wildest, coolest experience of a lifetime, and it's worth every
Kyle,
penny.
JR, my birthday is coming up.
Yes. And it's not far away. It's Chicago.
Yeah.
But he actually has a new restaurant called Fire that he just opened right before Thanksgiving, much cheaper, like $150, and we got like 7 courses for $150, and he's like tuning his menu, and he was there, and I almost passed out because I didn't met him yet. And I was like, it's my birthday. Do you think he'll come over? And I'm like, and I saw his intensity. I was like, oh, he ain't coming over here.
So one of my favorite meals that I've had, I live next door to John and Dan, and then Dan's then fiance, now wife Stephanie, and they were our neighbors, and we lived in a condo building, next door neighbors, and discovered that they were amazing cocktail artists and chefs. And so I remember early on, was back when I still drank alcohol, they said, hey, would you want a whiskey sour? And he passed a whiskey sour across the balcony. I was like, this is an amazing cocktail. And he's like, hey, you want to come over for dinner? And we knew them, but we didn't know them too well. And John made probably the best flank steak and chicken wing meal that I've ever had in my life. And
I love that.
And then since then, like, we became close friends, and I've often eaten John and Dan's cooking, and it is just like, you sit back, they pour you a drink, they make this amazing food, it's well plated. I'm like, I might never need to go to a restaurant again.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, that sucks for restaurants if you're not getting the same experience, but also it's a really good friend memory.
Oh, it's so nice. I hope he knows, John, I love you for you, not just your food, but but food really just brings people together.
It really does.
It gives you something to do with people. It's something we all need. It sustains us. And then that friendship just adds another layer.
It's a food hug. He's giving you a food hug.
John, you're food hugging me.
Yeah.
I miss your food hugs. It's been too long.
It's literally why we called food hugs, because it literally feels like a hug with food. And if you look at the logo, it's a fork and spoon hugging.
It's beautiful. Speaking of John and food hugs,
Yes.
John Roberts, what about you, buddy? What's your favorite, the best meal?
This is in the way because it's so awesome.
Yeah, the glory of the trophy.
An apple chopped with a cleaver.
Again, the physics don't make sense, but we're here for it.
I'm so
All of
here
it.
for it.
Always.
All right.
I mean, honestly, for me, I'm very simple. So any meal that I'm not cooking, I'm fairly happy. I'm just
There's
yeah.
got to be one though that you're like, holy, I remember that was so good.
And you can't say the number 7 at Taco Bell
No.
because
No.
it's a good one, but I don't know.
You ever caught a fresh trout you've caught in the river?
Yes, yeah. So, well, we started 2 years ago, a group of friends. This isn't the best meal, but also it was a really good meal. I've never thought of fish for breakfast. It's not something I ever would think of. But
Chef Jenna's face is also kind of
Yeah.
odd there.
I'd love to hear what that's going to be.
yeah, so this dish was great. We were in the UP fishing. This was 2 years ago. And my friend Jordan and his dad, and then we have another friend with us. We've been catching fish in these backwater streams, getting lost in the woods and places that, I mean, right now I'm dressed like I guess I'd go in the woods, but I do not know my way around. Can't find my way around there.
Flannel shirt, man. It looks good.
Flannel and polyester. I'm ready to jump in a river.
wow.
So,
You look professional to me.
but we would take the trout, and the kind of their tradition is before we go home that last day is to cook some of the fish. And it's like potatoes and peppers and onions and
yeah,
butter
that'd
and
be
all
good.
that stuff. And it's like all mixed up, and it's like, something I might have like
On
with
a fish
eggs.
taco.
Or yeah, what I'm thinking like something I might make with eggs and bacon or something in the morning. But no, they just put the fish right in there, and I'm like staring at him like, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. Huh. And try it. It tasted
Well,
amazing. It
they
was,
eat lox on top of bagels in the morning. That's fish.
yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Just had never had it. So
Yeah.
that was a really good one. So fish, yeah.
And
Can
I'm
have
sure
it for
too,
breakfast,
like that experience, right back to the experience. Like you were out with a
Correct.
friend, like that's a big part of it, right?
Yeah,
And,
it's the whole shebang
yeah.
that
Yep.
makes it amazing.
And that food, it's just the unifier, whether it's the eating it or it's the creating.
For sure.
Creating a great dish.
Before we stop, I have a fun treat because this is a food that brings me joy, and I wanted you guys to all have it.
Oh.
Pop rocks!
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me right
I
now?
think it'll sound really good if you eat it with a mic.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Best episode ever. We had one guy bring us beer.
Hey,
Thank you, Ryan.
this is like youth group
I
stuff
was
here,
just saying,
Kyle.
it's like
I know.
childhood
Do you guys
right
want to
here.
play? You want to play a stage game, Chubby Bunny? Maybe.
All right, Kyle, I'm sure in his day as a youth pastor,
Former
has
youth pastor.
put multiple of these packets of pop rocks.
Pop rocks.
I
There
have
you
a
go.
pop rock story that we can't tell on this podcast, but I'll say it when the mics go off.
Trader Joe's has a truffle. This is not sponsored by Trader Joe's with Pop Rocks in them.
Yep.
Just I hate
There's
the
a-
that store.
There's a ASMR. There is a
My wife hates mouth noises, by the
I
way,
do
so
too.
I'm going to play this for
I
her.
do too. I have what do they call it? Misophonia. And
That's a real
my
thing.
Kids,
She
yeah,
said it's a real thing. I'll make her
it
crazy.
is a real thing.
I have to go-
It's called misophonia.
I eat in a different room than her often because she
She
can't.
can't hear the
stand
mouth
me.
noises. Yeah.
Maybe that's what my wife has.
Misophonia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, it's literally coming through the mics.
Yeah, isn't it cool? Do it. Do it. Doesn't it bring you joy? I love Pop Rocks.
Dude, this is going to be the best teaser on the pod.
And then they went to the river. John caught the trout and prepared the potatoes.
There is a chocolate bar called the Firecracker where it has cayenne pepper, Pop Rocks, sea salt.
Oh my gosh.
And it's one of my favorite things. I put it in my goodie bag for my party every time. You're having way too much fun with this.
I love sugar.
Well,
It's like a little
was
kid in
fun.
helium right now with this.
Yeah.
all right, Drew, let's get you to Detroit, huh?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Thank you, Jenna.
Yeah,
Jenna. That was
absolutely.
way too much
This is
fun.
awesome.